I was a bit overzealous in the last video when I said hopefully we'd be able to start the Mustang in the next video because, well, first, things always take longer than you expect them to. That's a fact. And the second thing is we actually have the wrong carb for this intake. There's a couple different intakes that go on 351 Cleveland's, and we have the wrong one for this intake. But Dad will explain all of that because he's the one with 4 to 6 hours of research into carburetors and intakes on 351 Cleveland's.
So basically, we're going backwards a little bit with this carburetor ordeal. The old carburetor, I couldn't find any numbers. Or in the beginning, I couldn't find any numbers. So I basically ordered it based off, we know that this motor came out of a 1971 Mustang with a 351 Cleveland. So we knew that based on the numbers on the motor and the intake. What I didn't realize is there's more than one carburetor. So in that last video, you probably noticed at the very end of the video I worked the throttle a couple times. That's going to need adjusting. That's quite a high auto. They always set the fast idle on these. Fucking, when I got my new carburetor for that one, they always set them so fast. And then I wasn't getting full throttle. I'm like, there's got to be something going on here. I thought it might have something to do with the cable or whatnot. But anyway, we went a little bit further. We went a little bit further to find out why. So this is what we came up with. When I worked the throttle, if you look right down over here on the linkage on that side,
If I can get in.
if you can get that, when you work the throttle,
Oh, there it is.
it actually hits the bolt for the heat riser. So lo and behold, we had to get another carburetor. So the way this works out is we already took this apart. I already took this off. So when you're working this carburetor, this screw right here hits the intake. I did a bunch of research on this old gem that we had here, and it turns out that happens to be a 2100 and this is a 2150, and the difference is this has a half moon in the back and this one's just straight. So how I found out it was a 2100 was I finally found these numbers right here on the carburetor, and that's what led me to a 2100. So now we have a new 2100 and we can put that one on and hopefully that solves all our problems, but everything looks exactly the same now. Everything looks 100% exactly the same. This one here, you know, it's close, but it's not exact. I figured we'd overcome a couple of the issues, like this bowl vent, and you know, the vacuum for the booster, or for the PCV, instead of being the center, it was over here. So anyways, long story short, wrong carburetor, right carburetor now. So we're gonna put that on tonight.
As Dad unwraps the new carb, I'll take this time to say some genius forgot to charge the mic for the camera and then didn't notice it wasn't recording sound until a little bit later on. So we're gonna have a little bit of voiceover here. Here's the action on the old new carb, so you can see the travel, and when you compare it to the new carb, you can see there's a massive difference. That bolt barely moves on the new carb. We already did the big work, so all we basically have to do is slide her on and hook her up. But we're gonna make sure everything fits better and our throttle is now fully open before we actually tie her down. Everything fits good and the throttle's wide open now, so we're good to go. We need to switch over a small hose bracket from the old carb to the new carb.
See inside here? It's that little spring. Mm-hmm. That's the temperature spring. Hooks right on here. So as the temperature changes in the spring, it changes the choke. Mm-hmm. So when it's cold, it's closed. As it gets warm, the spring moves and the choke opens. And then these are your adjustments. Like a lot of times they'd be set right in the middle, and then you adjust it rich or lean depending on what you needed. Mm-hmm. And you had to set it all the time, summer and winter.
We should have done this before we put the new carb on, so we used a little piece of hose to get the lower bolt in place before we could finally fully tighten it. It was a lot easier than jamming our hands and a screwdriver in there. The new 24-inch shroud is in as well, and this thing's a piece of cake to put in. It's just 4 bolts around the outside and the fan in the middle. We might need to get a different spacer for the fan to put it the optimum distance away from the radiator. That way we have maximum cooling and we're never going to overheat. The last thing to do with the radiator is put this top hose on, then it's all set, 100% done, except for putting coolant back in there.
That's a general problem of ours. Our lights are always either falling down, getting in the way, or being just a general nuisance. So if anyone knows of a better light or owns a better light, can you just throw it in the comments below? Help us all out. Thanks.
Motorcraft radiator cap. Looks like a new old stock.
We have a couple little small things to finish up with. We're going to do the battery hold down, and then we're going to go to the windshield washer reservoir and the line that goes up to the windshield washer jets. That's what we're going to finish with.
Okay, so basically, very, very simple. They give you 4 nuts, and you say to yourself, why does he give me 4 nuts? Because I only have 2 rods. Well, what you want to do is that goes on there like that. What you want to do is put 1 nut. You want to put 1 nut on here first, upside down. And that's the idea, because you hook this in the battery tray right here at the bottom. You want your little J hook to hook right in the tray. So that's all you're doing. The bottom nut has a stop, because if you just put 1 nut on the top and keep tightening down, all you're going to do is bend the bracket. So you kind of want it simultaneously as it's tightening down, holding the battery, you want it to tighten up against that other nut too. So that's kind of the game here. now you gotta hold that while I push this down. Fuck. There we go. Because there's a little wobble, but that's something we can. Good. What we're doing here is the original washer hose. It's really brittle, and it actually ran inside the wiring harness with the wires, and then they taped it all up from the factory, and we literally just touched the end of this and the hose broke right off. So let's face it, that hose has been in there since 1970. It's about time for a new hose.
Because the old hose probably has the same watertight ability that your grandfather's bladder does.
What we're going to do is run the new hose right along this, and we're just going to zip tie it all the way, and then we're going to put our new nozzles in.
We're going to take the reservoir off first and clean it with just a little bit of soap and water. Easy job. And also replace the filter that's inside of it.
There we go. Got it. You can tell that thing wasn't going to ever work.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no... Look, it's all seized up. Okay, get this rag right. Just wipe that out. Like that. Yep, just like that. Yeah. And then, so as you can see,
Now it's time to get the washer jets in place before we run the line.
I chipped the paint.
no, did you?
Or just right where it's screwing on, if that's even avoidable. Do you think I did fucking something right here?
Yeah, I thought you did something like that.
Wrenching privileges would have been revoked.
It would have.
You're not allowed to work on your car anymore. You scratched it.
The Mustang was not harmed in the making of this video.
And then we're going to put one screw right there.
Time to zip tie the line in place. If we do replace the engine in this and decide to repaint the entire engine bay, that's when we'll come back and we'll put this line inside the wiring harness with the rest of them.
See how it's got corrosion in there?
Oh, yeah.
And those pins.
Yeah.
If you look real close, there's some. If you look real close, see that green corrosion in there?
Yeah.
That'll never make a good connection.
No.
So we'll clean that out.
Corrosion cleaned out now, we just need to add the finishing touches of the screws and the weather strip. The weather strip will slide on nice and easy once you lube it up. It's a small but fundamental part of the car that will direct the rain where it's supposed to go. Not that we plan on driving in the rain, but there's always a chance he could get caught in it.
All right, we are back on schedule. I'm not going to make any claims at the end of this video here. I'm just going to say the clocks have changed, and we're going to keep working on this. It's going to be lighter out later, so we're going to be able to get out into the driveway, do the other things like adjusting the doors and whatnot that we need a little more space to do. And we're going to take this day by day and enjoy the ride.